Welcome
to
the show.
Yes.
Is it really annoying when I go? Bow, 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 bow?
I don't find it annoying, but that's just me.
Because it's
ADD is all balls.
It's
so.
my voice doing it. It's not. It's not the actual sound effect. Maybe I need to find the actual sound effect and just add it in so that it sounds. No, because that's. I think part of the allure of it is that it's just my voice, right? Because it's ironic.
I don't.
Anyway, so last week we talked about. Go ahead. Oh, that was a crispy one too. So last week we were talking about that I ordered some stuff called ranch water, and Phil was like, "That's alcoholic. What are you talking about?" I was wrong. It's
that's on the live and the pod. Small victories. I got to take them.
Anyway, it's called ranch fuel, not ranch water. I don't know if it's made.
One.
Yeah. I was going to give you one too, but then you took off downstairs and I was like, oh yeah, he's got all his energy drinks already.
I'll try one later.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to start making you pay me for these.
No.
But
it's not nice.
It's orange cream, and part of the allure. Here, I'm going to open it. Ooh. That was a good one.
That was a really good one.
Part of the allure of the ranch water, ranch fuel. My goodness,
there is no allure to ranch water.
Their stuff's supposedly more natural, and it's like considered a less strong energy drink. So my brother doesn't like. See, I love Ghost,
right?
Because it tastes sweet. It tastes like actually like sweet.
Yeah.
My brother doesn't because it tastes too sweet to him, and part of that's probably because my brother's, but so he doesn't like because he doesn't eat sweet stuff very often,
right?
But anyway,
anyhow,
it's designed. I think it's designed intentionally to be like more pure and less like fake sweet.
And so
my brother loved it, and I like it. I do like it.
That tracks with their branding because it's the ranch water side of it, I believe, is like a seltzer type deal, which I think is supposed to be like less strong, potent, offensive. I don't know what.
I reached out to them for a sponsorship and they haven't got back to me yet. But no, I really like it. It's a little more subtle than C4.
Okay.
So it's like,
kind
of how you got, it's kind of in that tier, and taste wise, it tastes just as good. So like for me, I've got Ghost up here. I got Gorilla Mind, and then below that Ghost, and then below that is C4, and then below that is Ranch Fuel. As far as like how the flavor just pops, it's like Gorilla Mind is like over the fantastic. It is over the top flavor. If you like that, you're interested in it. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we have Ranch Fuel, which is the softer, milder flavor. So like if you're dehydrated, Ranch Fuel would taste phenomenal. Which is kind of what they.
Where do you place Monster, or does Monster kind of cover the whole spectrum because of how many different flavors
they're all over the place? Some of their flavors are.
Dude, the Ultra series is really potent, but then you've got stuff like Rehab is literally just friggin' iced tea with a hint of whatever peach or raspberry or lemonade.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and for the show for the listeners. What we started doing was going live before we record on TikTok. And maybe we need to have you go live on like Instagram or something.
Okay.
Log into the account and go live on there.
Yeah.
Or just get a different phone that has it. Anyway, we've been going live on TikTok and then showing up to the intro live. And then from there, we will stop the TikTok. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the TikTok. I love you guys. Listen to the episode tomorrow.
I couldn't close out of my Brave browser earlier when I was doing research. I tried to exit Brave.
Sweet.
And my computer was just like, no. And I couldn't click it anymore. Like it just disappeared. So I had to freaking Control-Alt-Delete it. I had to directly end the task.
Yeah.
Force close it.
Yeah. That's weird.
You guys are
That'd probably be your browser then, right?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
You guys are on Great Plains, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any outages yesterday? Mine cut out like 3 times. I was playing Counter-Strike last night and cut twice.
I don't know. I have not been online as much. What did I do yesterday? Baby. Yeah, just spending time with Bennett and... Well, dude, my brain is blank right now. Is gone. That. What did I do yesterday?
I hate that.
Yesterday? Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't online a whole lot.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious because I checked the their status, their server status thing, and it was like, no outages. I'm like, weird. Disagree.
I did notice that they've been putting in fiber, and it seems like every once in a while it goes down while they set maybe it's while they're starting up a neighborhood or something, and so like the whole maybe they got to restart it or something. I don't know. I don't know. I got to call in because we were out of town for 2 weeks, and they kept trying to call me and harass me to get the stuff set up for it, and I was like, dude. And then finally, the main guy that's in charge of our area, he called and he's like, hey, I heard what happened. Sorry about that. We'll stop harassing you. Just give us a call when you're ready. And I got to give him a call back now that we're ready.
Nice.
Our listeners really needed to know that. I'll probably end up cutting all of it.
Yeah, I figured as much.
But I don't know. I'm also okay with leaving it because...
some people like the banter.
Yeah, well, and what I'm thinking of starting to do is leave the banter, but add timestamps.
Yeah.
I had a dude on the Spotify was like, hey, yo, when are you actually going to talk about dire wolves? And I was like, okay, so you must be brand new. Oh, yeah. In case you didn't know, we had a video on TikTok go viral. And at this point right now, it has 2.1 million views.
Yeah, something like that.
And we've picked up almost 5,000 followers from it. And so if you're here from TikTok and you found us from that video, dude, welcome.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet he the maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?
This is the show. Yeah, we're Biblically Accurate Bigfoot. If you are new to the show, what we do is it's a comedy podcast where we talk about controversial topics from a biblical lens, and we welcome people of all walks of faith. I know a lot of people who do listen to the show aren't Christian. We are. So you're going to hear us talk about our faith every once in a while, but mostly we just try to tackle controversial topics. And ultimately, what matters to us is the truth. We want the truth to be out there. So we tell things in a way that is kind of vague, especially if we don't know what's true, which is almost everything we talk about on this episode or on this show.
Highly encourage you to do your own research on everything.
We kind of leave it open-ended.
I also think, I don't know if we've ever really talked about this, but even when it comes to like Christianity, I highly encourage that you do your own research into that as well. Yeah. Because like if things mean more to you when you've actually researched them for yourself, like you've invested that time and it becomes more real to you. Like if you spend the how much time had you put into like MK Ultra before we talked about it on here?
Before we talked about it, like nothing.
How much did you care?
I was always
you were
interested.
Interested. You were interested.
I was always
curious,
it
wasn't
but
a
it
big
wasn't
thing to you.
No,
you straight up told me before we started the second episode of that. You told me this has changed how I look at the world.
Absolutely,
because you researched it hard and you like found things out for yourself.
Do you know how many times I've watched the news since we did that?
Zero.
I used to watch the news nightly. It was I would watch about a half hour news as I was going to bed. I didn't necessarily pay attention like really closely, but like it was always on in the background while I scrolled on my phone for like a half hour. Not a lot, but enough to just kind of stay up to date. I don't think I've watched a single segment of news since we did that segment. So yeah, it changed
What about
me. It changed me.
What about the news that the Pope died?
I found that out from TikTok.
I did too. It was a funny meme.
Oh, man.
And a lot of people commented like, this is how I find out
Yeah.
that happened. That's happened with me a few times, actually, with major events. I'm like, what is this joke about? It is kind of a crappy way. It's messed up.
Learning anything from TikTok is kind of a shameful experience.
Yeah, it is.
Like if I'm like, I learned this from TikTok, I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But no, I think I was on because I was trying to manage that video and like trying to stay up to date with some of those comments. Yeah. And when I first pulled it up, it was like the Pope, and I was like, "Oh, did he? All right, yeah,
did he?"
But that's going to what your point was of researching things for yourself and like learning things for yourself. Because one of the biggest issues I have with the Catholic faith, and I'm not dogging Catholics. I'm not anything like that. That's not what we're about on this show. But Catholicism does place an unnecessary and, in my opinion, unhealthy importance to the Pope. And then when you have a Pope like the one that just passed away, who said things like, all faith leads to God kind of things.
You're really hoping that guy catches this.
Yeah. Universalism. When he's kind of disregards certain segments of the Bible in order to push forward an agenda that the Catholic Church as a whole has to basically go like, that's not what he really meant. Like, if you know what I'm saying, like that's a problem. And when you place that much importance on a person who is in a position of structural or spiritual authority over you, and you don't look stuff up for yourself, you just have to take their word for it. And that's another reason that I'm frustrated. One of the things that I don't like about the Catholic Church is that up until like 1900s, they didn't really want people reading the Bible. And like, that's one of the main things that Martin Luther, one of the main reasons that he did what he did was because what he was trying to do was he was saying, I want every random person in the field working to have their own copy of the Bible. Yeah. And the church was like, no, because for whatever reason, maybe they had a very valid reason. I don't know. But that was one of the main arguments, one of the main struggles between the two. Okay. And now the Catholic Church is the opposite, and they want people reading their Bible, but
I want you to own the thought that you just kind of stepped around there. Like maybe they had a valid reason. No. Imagine it's... Well, imagine before Jesus ascends, somebody asks him, like, hey, how would you like us to learn about the things that you've said after you leave? And he goes, listen to those people. Yeah. Instead of read my Father's word.
Can I
imagine that?
Can I go into a little bit of an education segment real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so I think so Jesus went to his disciples and commanded them to follow him, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The importance of that is so lost. And part of what I was trying to say was that with the Catholic Church, sometimes when I read a Bible verse or read a chapter of the Bible or read a book of the Bible, as a pastor, I'm going to read it a little bit different than, little Jenny who's 10 years old down the street who just came to faith. Right. She's going to read it and I'm going to be able to read it with a depth that she doesn't have. If I read the book of Philippians, I understand the book of Philippians. When I set eyes to it the very first time, I approach it with the understanding that it was written to the church in Philippi. I already know that. I already know that Paul wrote it while he was in prison. I know that he was put in prison for sharing the gospel for Christianity. I already know all of that stuff going into it. So when I hear the words, rejoice, rejoice, I repeat rejoice. do all things. You know, like, and when you read that and you understand that, the power, the importance it has this level of reality and clarity, because I already go to it understanding that. Mm-hmm. Someone else reads it, they don't understand that. They're just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. It's written to me, you know, okay, I'll rejoice, whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, what do you do when your life's going hard? You know, and it's like, well, you already understand Paul's life was pretty hard at that point, you know, and he's saying this. And so it's in all seasons. And so there's an understanding there. Mm-hmm. Well, only having the priests and the fathers with the word and preaching it, each time you hear something, you're in theory not going to have anything be lost in understanding, because they'll be able to, in theory, explain it with that context in mind when they read it.
Sure.
But
you're never going to tell somebody not to.
I agree with you. But I'm saying, I'm trying to give a little bit of benefit of the doubt, as much as I'm stretching to give some benefit of the doubt. Okay.
I know.
But so going back to one of the things that we lose in Jesus asking the disciples to follow him is the strictness that it took. That sounded like a...
What was that?
That sounded like
an alien?
That sounded like a lion, dude. It was like...
I heard a xenomorph.
That's weird. Anyway, apologize. What? That was me. So the strictness in which it took to become a rabbi. So when the people of Israel were first going to school, they would go to school. They would all go to school. And they would memorize the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. They would memorize that. And then from there, they would be tested. And the top, literally the top of the top of the top of the class would be allowed to continue their education. The rest would go home to their families and work. Excuse me. Then they would begin memorizing all of basically what was the Old Testament, their book of the Bible, would begin memorizing that. And then a second test would happen. The top of the top of the top would be allowed to continue. The rest would then go home. And then from there, they would continue their education, continue learning the background, all that other stuff, continue memorizing all that other stuff. And then again, top of the top of the top would continue. The rest would go home and work. And then from there, they then would have to go and follow a rabbi around and beg them to allow the rabbi to let them to study and mentor and follow them around and basically be like their bond servant until they had learned enough from that rabbi that they could then be their own rabbi. So they would follow the rabbi around. The rabbi would just basically... They would start out as just like a servant boy, observing and whatever, and then eventually they would move on. And if they could prove their worth to the rabbi would then begin teaching them. And if they could then prove their worth, that they could continue to learning, then eventually they could go and become their own rabbi. So this process of you have to be the best of the best of the best of the best, sir. Like, you know, Independence Day, like
wrong. Men in Black.
Or Men in Black, yeah. My same actor, whatever. Same actor, 2 years different. My bad.
Keep my wife
out your mouth. Gosh. But anyway, best of the best of the best, sir.
Sir.
He has no idea why he's here. Anyway, so those top tier, I know, those top tier guys would then become rabbis. So then Jesus goes to the people who've already failed out because they're fishermen. He goes to them as rabbi, and then he says, cast down your nets, put down your nets, and come and follow me. So these guys have already been kicked out. They've already been told they're not good enough. They're already told they're less than. They're already told that they're not worthy of following a rabbi, let alone becoming a rabbi, let alone entrusting with God's word. They've already been told they're not good enough. They're already home working. And Jesus went to them and says, hey, I want you to follow me. The way that Jesus took the traditions of the Jews, flipped them on their head, took the people who were not even worthy of following a rabbi around, let alone becoming a rabbi.
Yeah.
had already gone home and been working. He took those people and said, you're going to be the cornerstone of the church. You're going to be my disciples. You are going to be what I build this off of. The power of that is lost when we just read, Jesus went to them and said, hey, put down your nets and follow me.
Yeah.
Hey, you're no longer a tax collector. Come and follow me. You know, it's lost to us, completely lost to us.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of what happened. And when you understand that, it's so much more powerful when you read that one sentence. And so kind of going back to what I was trying to talk about with the Pope, giving a little bit of benefit of the doubt is that they could explain things like that.
Right.
And so there's nothing lost in translation, nothing lost in how to read the Bible. And you know, if anything, my viewpoint would be instead of going down the path of not let people read their own Bible, instead, our churches need to do a better job of teaching people how to read the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something that in my ministry, we do a ministry with college kids every year. Every single year, we go through and we teach hermeneutics and how to read the Bible the right way.
Yeah.
And I know our students are so bored out of their minds when I teach it, but man, they are so much better off afterwards, having gone through and learned how to do it right. Mm-hmm. And so, but that was something, and again, big loop around, big, huge rabbit trail that we didn't even really go down. But that was something that I think, you know, give the Catholic Church a little bit of benefit of the doubt on that. But no, you know, but at the same time, you know, with the Pope that just passed away, we do as Christians have to recognize that even if I don't agree with him, even if I don't find him proper, mm-hmm. you know, I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody posted, it was on Facebook, somebody had posted an image and it said, you know, remember that David grieved Saul, and recognize that even if somebody wasn't a good leader, even if somebody wasn't proper, we still should mourn them in a healthy way
type deal.
Yeah. And so that's where that's where I wanted to be a little, I like the thing with me, and to a fault, I will admit that sometimes I'm a little brutal with the truth. The truth and love is important. And sometimes I'm a little brutal with the truth, but I think the truth is important enough that it's still worth talking about. And so I'm not going to ever just sugarcoat something that I disagree with. And yeah, but speaking of the Pope, have you ever heard of the prophecy of the popes?
I have not.
The prophecy of the popes, dude. This is nuts. I heard about this first, 6 months ago, before the Pope, the current Pope, was even having a bad thing or bad health. And so this thing is wild. So the prophecy of the Pope, basically, it starts.
It's a pretty good amount of notes you got there.
Dude, I know. Okay, so the prophecy of the Pope starts off with Saint Malachi in the 12th century. And basically, he wrote down 112 cryptic phrases in which he predicted every pope that would succeed the throne of being the Pope, and to a remarking accuracy. Now, he didn't say like Pope the Francis would be the Pope or say like, not like that, but he would say things. And so it'd be like, you know, the 39th Pope or whatever. I don't know exactly how it was worded, but it's like the 39th Pope is, you know, comes from the, you know, or not even comes from, would be like, he is the Pope of olives and fire, you know. And then they go through and they look at the popes, and sure enough, this Pope was from, you know, Italy, in a town that was consumed by fire or something like that. Uh-huh. Like, and they could go through with pretty like legit accuracy and go through each of the popes that has existed and basically connect them with the people that were the popes. And they actually...
Does St. Malachi have a descendant who
He was
helped
a pope,
write.
so probably not.
Let me dream.
Oh, okay. You do your thing.
Who is a writer for The Simpsons by chance?
I know, right? Well, I've got anyway.
Come back to that another day.
Yes,
I'm gonna put a pin in there.
Yeah. But so, so they go through and there's some people who've tried to discredit it, and maybe they have some good arguments in that, like, the first existence that we have of this prophecy was in a book in the 1500s, and prior to that book coming out, the accuracy is like at another level, and then after that book, the accuracy is a little lower. And saying that whoever wrote that book completely made up this whole story or whatever, but the fact of the matter is there's still accuracy post the book.
Right.
And there's some other things that are very weird to me. And one of the things that's weird is that the last pope that it predicts is literally the one who will usher in the end times. Okay. The last pope. Now, whether or not, it doesn't necessarily say whether he's going to be a good pope or a bad pope. Because even in the prediction, it predicted good popes and bad popes. And like looking back, it's like, what do they call them? Anti-popes or whatever. People that like set the church back. And like, he even predicted that kind of stuff. And so it doesn't say whether or not the last pope is going to be a pope who's going to usher in the end times, or whether or not he will be like a defending force and kind of like be a last, strong man in defending the Catholic Church against the Antichrist.
I don't look at it like that.
Do what?
I don't look at it like that, where like he's an influencing factor for or against. He's just there. Like, that's a bigger situation than I think he's capable of really having a significant hand in.
I mean, whether you like it or not. I get what you're
saying.
Right, but whether you like it or not, the Catholic Church is still the largest body of Christians in the world. And so the leader of that is still going to be of importance when that comes around, because I mean, now I guess if you hold to a pre-trib rapture, then yeah, the Pope hopefully would be raptured with the church. If you believe in a mid or a post-trib, your Pope is going to be involved in some capacity. Sure. I mean,
that makes sense.
I mean, okay, you want to take a small rabbit trail a little bit? So one of the
a long one.
Oh, a long rabbit trail.
Yeah.
One of the predictors is that the last Pope, that Rome would be, that he would usher in the destruction of Rome as well. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about how the Catholic Church, that Rome didn't cease being Rome, it just manifested and morphed into becoming the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And so in that case, and it talks about how the 7 cities would fall under this last Pope. And so the idea is that the Catholic Church then, that he would see the destruction of the Catholic Church. So, interesting theory. Guess how many popes are left in this prediction?
2.
No.
1.
The next pope that they elect is going to be the one that this one predicted would usher in the end times. We're on the last one. Now, not only that, so when they designed I can't remember the name of the cathedral or whatever in the Vatican. When they designed it, they put all of the popes' images up on this like banister, whatever. Banister, yeah, because banner is like hang down, right? Banister would be the wall, like the pillar.
Yeah, so
the pillar or whatever that goes sideways. And along this thing, they've got all of the popes, and then they had created enough space to accommodate all of the like remaining popes. Guess how many spots are? And this is completely separate from this prophecy, the prophecy of popes.
One more.
This next one is the last open spot in all of that. Now all of that.
I'm a cop. I'm not allowed to believe in coinky dinks.
Now that's the thing. All of that to say that, you know, if it weren't for the fact that we've talked about on this show, how many other end time quote unquote prophecies are being fulfilled or are like on the verge of being fulfilled? So you've got the Euphrates River drying up. You know, you've got the ability for China to have the whatever million. Just spitballing
red heifers.
Army. Yeah. You got the red heifers coming back for the first time in 2,000 years. And contrary to Commandy on our Discord, no, they have not all lost their eligibility. There are still at least 2 that are still eligible, according to the Temple Institute, which is the ones that actually run them. So you've still got the red heifers that are eligible. You've got the Temple Institute, which is ready to go to build the temple. They have everything they need to build the temple. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
Everything is purchased, built. It could be, they said the Temple Institute, who would be the ones who build it, could have it built within a month. It's like ready to go. And so you've got that. You've got just the turmoil that's going on in the world. You've got, I mean, look at what's going on in Europe right now.
Yeah.
They're banning prayer, dude. You can't even pray in your own head. They literally, have you seen the videos of them arresting that lady? She's just standing, not even kneeling or nothing like that. She's standing.
Did they release that video in 1984?
I know. I think it was last month. It was pretty recent.
A little more recent.
Yeah. But they come up to the lady and they're like, "Are you praying?" And she's like, "Why are you asking?" Basically. And they're like, "Well, you know that if you stand here and you pray, it's illegal." And she's like, "I just was thinking in my own head." And they were like, "Were you praying in your own head?" And she's like, "Well, yeah." And they're like, "Well, then I'm going to have to place you under arrest." She was doing nothing, just standing there. Now, apparently, they have arrested over 400 people already for praying silently. And I guess 4 of those were within their own home.
Oof.
So,
yeah.
Courtney would probably ask me to prove that, but that's just statistics that I saw from like actual mainstream news places. I can't go and verify because I don't have access to the European arrest records, and they're not really going to release stuff like that.
Just call their police station.
However, at the same time, they have entire like cities, small towns and stuff that are allowing the call to prayer from Islam. Mm-hmm. They're allowing that to be broadcast over speakers at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we're allowing them to do that, but we're going to arrest this lady for just standing on a corner praying in her own head. Mm-hmm. Dude, that's Sketchville, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we see that. Now we've got, you know, all the stuff that's going on in Africa, all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East. We see, you know, the stuff with it's just heating up, dude. Yeah. It's heating up.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now we've got all this weather phenomena happening. Mm-hmm. And that's part of it talks about in the Bible as growing pains. You're going to see the wars, the rumor of wars, the weather, the earthquakes, that kind of stuff. All of it is just heating up. And it's like, okay, so combine everything that we're seeing with the prophecies of the popes. And now all of a sudden I'm going, Now, if all the rest of the stuff didn't exist and the prophecy of the popes popped up, I'd just be like, okay. Cool. Could be like the Mayan calendar ended in 2012.
So I was going to mention, I was going to say something
it ran out of space.
I was going to say something about that. Well, yeah, it did run out of space, but it's pretty interesting, isn't it, that it was within like that close of a time period?
15 years or whatever.
Dude, if it happened like this year, it'd be 13 years. That is not bad. Well, that's a pretty tight margin of error.
Technically, it would be 20 if it started this year because you'd still have 7 years before.
Well, yeah. But yeah,
still.
The initiation of the end of the world.
That is pretty incredible.
13 years different. Yeah. That's a pretty tight margin of error for a freaking ancient civilization.
Right. For real.
Like,
and I don't know how I feel like I remembered studying this a little bit when it popped up. And I think each cycle would have been long enough that I think we're technically still within the last cycle of their thing.
Okay.
Because it was like within the cycle, there would be years within the cycle.
Well, I was going to say,
and each cycle, I want to say, was like 100 years, something like that. I am 1% confident in what I just said.
Yeah.
So I will have to check that and report.
Well, I just think even like if they weren't aware of like the quarter day shift. Or like the extra quarter of a day that we have at the end of every year, if they didn't factor in leap years, like that might be enough.
Oh yeah.
That's probably enough for them to be off by a few years. So like that brings your margin of error down even more.
Yeah.
Like
it depends on when because I don't even know. That's something I want to talk about either next week or in 2 weeks, depending on if we get Red on the show.
Okay.
Because he wants to talk about Dogman. And I want to let him fit in talk about Dogman. Yeah. But so either next week or in 2 weeks, I want to talk about like the Native American mounds and stuff.
Okay. Yep.
And so that would actually go in well with that. But yeah, and so that you start having the argument of who created the calendar. When did they originally first start creating it? When did they start tracking time? And yeah, you add in enough leap years, I almost wonder how many years that would be off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Leap time. Or how they even calculated their days. I'd have to look into it. I haven't looked into it since 2012.
I haven't either. But I had the thought of, man, they're not too far off if we're just about there.
Yeah. Dude, you want to know what honestly convinces me more that we're in the end times than anything else that I just mentioned? The fact that they brought back the dire wolves, dude.
Yeah.
They just listening to that dude. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's in charge of it. He was talking about how at the Smithsonian, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Smithsonian when we talk about the Temple Mounds, or not Temple Mounds, the effigy mounds. But the Smithsonian, that they have like at least 12 levels, and each level is more and more secure. And they gave him access to the 4th level in order to get the dire wolf stuff. It's like, what's on level 12? Bet you there's some giant bones down there. Anyway, how much do we rely on the Smithsonian to tell us our history?
Yeah.
How much? When I was looking up, I mean, even this stuff, this isn't even America and the Smithsonian's involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, at what level, at where, the Smithsonian's got their hand in so much of what Americans at least learn about history, that if the Smithsonian was corrupt at all, even if just a little bit.
What do you want to bet the head of the Smithsonian's a Freemason?
I would bet. I think I remembered looking that up. I don't remember if I found it or not.
Just a feeling.
Freemasons, man.
They're everywhere.
They're scary.
They are scary. If you don't believe in Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, I ain't scared. I ain't scared.
I ain't scared. Yeah. So yeah, that's the prophecy of the popes. The final pope is called Peter the Roman, and what he wrote about Peter the Roman, again, it's not names, it's phrases. So like, for example, there's one that says from the labor of the sun, and that's Pope John Paul II.
Sun, S-O-N? Oh.
S-U-N.
S-U-N.
Refers to Pope John Paul II, who was born during a solar eclipse. So like things like that, that are, they're very loosely, but you can see it.
Right. That's definitely a tie.
Yeah. Or like I said, like the olive branch, or, certain regions versus, some it's like the Pope would use a symbol. And so like there's one where it's talking about olive branches, and it talks about Pope Benedict the 15th or whatever. He used an olive branch as a symbol. And so it's like you could tie those together. So the last one is, it means, in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulation, after which the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. The end.
Bro.
And so Peter the Roman is not given a number or a motto like the others. He's just, and we're up. We don't have any other mottos or numbers. There's just Peter the Roman is left. I swear, if they announce the next pope and it's Pope Peter the whatever,
yeah,
and he's from Rome,
yeah,
I'm just gonna go ahead and be like, you know what, you guys did either they did this on purpose just to create chaos, or this is sketchy.
Yeah,
one or the other. And the Catholic Church doesn't even back this prophecy.
That's amazing.
The church, the Catholic Church, doesn't recognize its authenticity.
That's crazy.
What I understand.
So
just happens to coincide.
What did he have to say about this last one?
I don't remember. Pope Francis, is that what?
I think so.
I can't remember. Some people theorize that Pope Francis was the last one. However, there's one spot remaining on that deal, and so some people were theorizing that the last pope would have both a motto and be the last one. But my thought process when I looked through it and I saw just kind of the evidence, quote unquote, what it looks like to me is that the last one, that is. And so there's one more than some people were theorizing.
I have a question.
Imagine if they don't find a pope. And the church just is destroyed.
That'd be interesting.
I guess it wouldn't destroy, but you know.
Do they have a plan at the Vatican for like where they're going to put more if there's a next one after this one?
I have no clue. I would imagine they would probably just start a row underneath and just create spots underneath it. I don't know. Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I have, no. Or if I have, I haven't paid attention to it. While Tanner is looking up a picture of the inside of the Vatican, I would like to take a moment to thank everybody who left a comment on the viral conspiracy theory TikTok, because there are so many really interesting theories there, and I'm going to talk about 2 of them today, or 2 things that were discussed in those comments, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's kind of so. I'll share this image in the Discord, but yeah, so you can see. So you got Pope Francis right there, and that's the last blank one, and that's it. But you kind of see what I'm talking. It's like it's not banister, it's not a banner, but it's like
kind of the molding up top.
Yeah, it's like paintings above. But yeah,
paintings above. That sounds like a band.
So below. Prophecy right there.
Let me throw a possible Mandela effect example out. Does anybody else remember Pope Francis like either resigning or passing away not too like a few years ago? Because I didn't remember him. I thought we were on to somebody else.
I did too.
Wait, so were we not?
I remember him passing away, and I also feel like, and I don't know if this
died the other day.
I don't know what it is, but for some reason, Pope Francis looked like a completely different person like 6 years ago than he did like 5 years ago.
It was Pope Francis. I straight up thought we were on to a different pope.
No.
A few years ago. Okay. So there we go. There's a perfect example. Comment if you thought Pope Francis was gone already before like Easter this year, 2025.
That we were already on to somebody new.
Yeah, I really thought we were. So you said you kind of know some things about the Mandela effect. Let me ask you something. You grew up on some of the same stuff that I did. Do you remember in like grade school reading the books the Berenstain Bears? I do. Can you spell Berenstain for me?
I can't. I know this one, and
you do know this one.
I know this one, and I don't know. I don't know the difference between two. So this isn't a Mandela effect for me,
dude. I swear. Okay. I'm one of those people that I enjoy messing with like the way things are spelled, phonetics. I like messing with that. I swear I would have remembered thinking of it as the Berenstain Bears. I would have had that argument with myself and or a teacher in grade school. There's no way. I just didn't realize that it was spelled with an A. That can't be right. I'm so mad about it. You know what I'm more mad about, actually? Were you a Pokemon kid?
No.
Okay. I wasn't either. Describe Pikachu for me. Are you familiar with this one?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yep. And even not being familiar with...
Because I wasn't a Pokemon kid, but I saw a lot of Pikachus.
Yeah, even not being a Pokemon kid, it still bothers me.
There was black on his tail. Somebody posted a comparison picture on one of the articles I was reading about Mandela effect examples, and I was like, no, that's the right one. That is correct. I don't believe... You've done too much research on this. This is irritating.
Dude, I know. The Mandela effect is one of my... I told you in the car when we were driving.
Yeah.
This is one of my long-going list of... I just have Mandela effects, on the hip. I've looked at them way more often
than I heard the Snow White one?
Yeah. That one, I've seen evidence of the book, the original Disney book, actually does say mirror, mirror on the wall. And then in the cartoon, it says something different, right?
Magic mirror.
Magic mirror on the wall.
I don't remember ever hearing magic mirror.
I don't ever remember hearing magic mirror.
I've never heard that phrase in my life. I swear it, dude. I know, okay, I got a couple more that I just want people to think and comment. Tell me I'm not crazy. I was crazy once. Curious George. Are you familiar with this one?
Yeah.
You've read all these.
I told you. I that's unfortunately you're not. Okay. I don't. It'll be hard for you to surprise me with.
Audience, did Curious George have a tail? Because I swear he did. I'm certain he did. Okay, one more. Okay, everybody. Well, okay, I have two more, but one everybody knows. The Fruit of the Loom cornucopia.
Yeah,
it was there.
Bugs me.
It was there.
I only knew what a cornucopia was because of Fruit of the Loom.
Right. The Fat Electrician has been on about this a couple of times, and he, I think he said he found an old T-shirt or something that had it. So that company's just straight up gaslighting everybody.
Yeah. I've got a few good ones too.
The Mr. Rogers one.
That one levels me.
I don't.
Go ahead and share it.
Okay. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That sounded correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They say, apparently, allegedly, according to people who have researched the Mandela effect, everyone agrees with that, but it was actually, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. That's not...
It doesn't work.
I almost gagged saying that. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't sound right. It sounds stupid. It's incorrect. Yeah. You can ask my parents. You all can't, but my Tanner can. You can ask my parents. I grew up on Mr. Rogers. I loved that show. No, that is not correct. It's just not. Okay, so I have questions. So a couple of the prevailing theories on the Mandela effect.
Wait, I've got some more Mandela effects that level
please,
me.
By all means.
Okay. What's the first line of Moby Dick?
I have no idea.
Oh, dang. I was hoping you were literally, dude. So I remember it as being, call me Ishmael.
I feel like I've heard that.
That's not the opening line. Some of my favorites. Okay, the one that gets me
what's the opening line?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't even know. Because call me Ishmael is the opening line. I swear it is. I've never even looked it up, but I know that it's not because the Mandela effect told me it's
anyway.
Not. Chick-fil-A. I remember very vividly it being spelled CHIKFILA, but it's CHICK. I remember being a little kid.
It was just CHIC.
No, that's another way other people misremember it. No, it's CHICK.
No, there's no K.
It's chick.
There's never been a K.
Like a chicken.
No.
See, and
no,
I remember being a little kid, and I remembered my brother bringing me to the mall. And I have a very vivid memory of this. I can tell you exactly where in the mall it was. And my brother brought me to the Fort Collins Mall, and we were walking around, and we did some shopping and whatever because I was just hanging out with my big brother. Mm-hmm. And I remember this very well. It's one of the few I have And the thing that I think bugs me the most about it is that if you've ever had a conversation with me, I don't have very many memories of before I was 10.
Yeah.
From trauma or whatever other reason. I don't have very many memories, and the memories I do have, I cherish those memories. Mm-hmm. They good or bad, they're memories. I have them, and I cherish the fact that I have them.
Yeah.
Because I don't have very many memories.
Yeah.
This is one that I remember vividly. I remember walking around, and the way that the mall was kind of set up was you kind of had to loop around, and then it kind of went up, and then there was a little mini food court that just had a couple restaurants. They had the go-tos of like the Chinese food and whatever. And then they had, and then on the other side of that, they had a Greek Euro place. And then they had Chick-fil-A. And I remember looking at Chick-fil-A and not knowing what it was because I'd never heard of it before. I was a little kid. And I remembered it being spelled Chickfila. And I remembered thinking, that's a really weird name. Nothing on it makes sense. And my brother was like, where do you want to eat? And I was like, oh, let's go here. And we went to the Euro place. And so I didn't even eat Chick-fil-A. Right. But I remembered it because it was spelled so weird. As a kid, I was like, I don't even know what they serve there. So let's go with the Greek Euro place because I knew what Euros were. And so we had Euros in the mall. This is a very vivid memory of mine, and it's spelled wrong in my memory. And that the fact that that's a Mandela effect rocks me because I have that memory, and I had that memory before. And I even remember before Mandela effects even became a thing, I remembered thinking, I thought Chick-fil-A was spelled different than this. I remember, and literally I recalled that memory. And then now Mandela effects are a thing, and Chick-fil-A is one of the Mandela effects. And other people remember it being spelled different too.
And like, I swear, like as a kid, I didn't eat it at Chick-fil-A until I was like, oh gosh, I was probably an adult. It was probably like Salt. I think that was probably the first time I had Chick-fil-A. And like I said with the Berenstain Bears, like I would have called it the Berenstain Bears if I thought it was that. I swear I remember thinking of it as Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Like
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Because it was CHIC.
Yeah.
I swear it was.
Yeah. That's crazy,
that
right?
Can't be right. What else you got?
You ever see the movie Field of Dreams?
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah. If you say, if you build it, what's the rest of
They will come. Don't you dare.
That's wrong. The actual line is, if you build it, he will come.
No.
That one hurts me.
No, because that was even quoted in friggin' Racing Stripes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was quoted in that.
Yeah. Well, that's like the Magic Mirror one. It's in pop culture always quoted as being mirror
right
on the wall. But the actual movie is supposedly Magic Mirror, and then all of pop culture just mistakenly quoted it as mirror.
Some of those I struggle with because people do screw up quotes all the time. Yeah. Like the number of times that I've had a friend like misquote something like right after we finished watching it.
Like
whatever.
Like the Luke, I Am Your Father one.
That was the one I was going to bring up next. But I didn't watch that growing up. And so I did, but I still... that one doesn't bug me as much because someone totally could have just misquoted that and that's what stuck.
Yeah, because it's like... And just the scene, if you were to quote that and just be like, no, I am your father, you're like, that doesn't make sense. But if you're like, Luke, I am your father, you can misquote it intentionally for dramatic effect to bring homage to the quote without directly quoting it.
Right.
But if you build it, they will come and he will come is... what's the purpose?
That feels the same as the Mr. Rogers one. Like it just feels like that. It just doesn't even sound right. Like coming out of your mouth, you're just like that cannot be correct.
Oh, dude, you know which one? Okay, did you ever watch Silence of the Lambs?
No.
Okay, have you ever heard the phrase? Well, hello, Clarice.
Yes.
That doesn't exist in the movie. It's completely fabricated.
What?
Apparently.
What?
That one rocked me a little bit.
What? Next, you're going to tell me that Jack Nicholson didn't say, "Here's Johnny" in
that's not
Shining.
It's impossible, but it's almost. You remember? Did you ever watch Risky Business?
I did not, but I know where you're going with this.
The dance
no
scene.
Sunglasses.
No sunglasses in it.
I don't know. Somebody in the comments of an article I read that had that one, and it said he wears shades throughout a lot of the rest of the movie, and so like,
it's like the
people think of it, but
the Britney Spears music video,
the headset
that she doesn't have
mic.
Yeah, she doesn't have a mic.
Apparently, that was even on the Barbie doll.
Yeah,
they had it on her Barbie doll.
That one's
but it wasn't
crazy.
in the video.
What color is SpongeBob's tie? Did you grow up with SpongeBob?
Red. It's red.
Okay. then yeah. Okay. The Mandela effect is that some people remember as being black. I didn't watch SpongeBob, so I don't.
I did. Black would have been a little too formal, I think. That's why that doesn't... I know that one's correct.
So Oscar Mayer, this one...
Yep.
So that one actually doesn't get me.
That one doesn't get me
because either. The only reason I know how to spell Oscar Mayer is because of the song. Because my baloney has a first name, and I don't want to get tagged by...
Copyright strike!
It's OSCAR. My baloney has a second name. It's MAYER. That's the only reason I know how to spell it, and so I didn't.
In my head, Meyer should be MEIER. So, like,
so I'm
Jewish, apparently.
I was going to say autistic, but
we already know this.
Long conversation between me and Phil. I'm not dissing. Just so you know. Anyway,
I give you permission. Wait. I just realized, you can cut this, I just realized that means I get to use my favorite word and no one can tell me I can't.
Right. This is true.
I can't wait to use that. I can't wait to use that excuse. I need to confirm first. Anyway.
Yeah.
What else? Okay. Cut.
Yes.
I'm really glad you turned off the TikTok. Anywho.
There was one more that I wanted to see. Well, I mean, we could talk about the original Mandela effect. That one is a Mandela effect to me, too.
Right.
I remember, I've always, and maybe I just assumed, but I always thought Nelson Mandela had died in prison.
Everything about him is too vague in my memory. Like, my learning about him is too vague for me to, say one way or another.
Right.
But it sure seems like that was a thing that was talked about. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I have questions. These are all just hypothetical questions. Like there's no way for us to get an answer. Why? This is the main one. Like, why is this a thing? And yes, there are scientific explanations as to like the human brain being pretty malleable and the nature of memories being very easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
It's not terribly difficult to do that. But the spontaneous nature of all this and the way that it's so specific sometimes. Like the Nelson Mandela one. Like, died in a South African prison in the 80s. Like...
Ooh, one more. I want to continue. Is the Apollo 13 when the Houston finished that?
We have a problem.
No, it's Houston. We've had a problem.
That doesn't make sense. That does not make any freaking sense to anyone who knows English. Stop it.
Yep.
Lies.
Anyway, continue.
Okay, so too specific. Things like that. It's too specific. Like, unless it's something that was spoken wrong and got switched, which, I mean, that's been the case a couple of times here, but like, even still, like, it just wouldn't have made sense for someone to say it that way. It just wouldn't have.
I feel like a lot of the Mandela effects, like, I don't know. Yeah.
And so, like, my question...
Why does Curious George not have a tail?
Right? What? Like, why would you draw him that way? So, yeah. I feel like I'm being gaslit. I feel like a lot of us are being gaslit. And my question is, my big question is it the government gaslighting us? Like, or is it bigger than that, or a mix? Is there a power at work that is trying deliberately to confuse us and make us not trust ourselves and or each other? Because, like, think about it. Like, that's a lot of how, like, people get manipulated.
Right.
And when we get to our hypnosis episode eventually, I hope Courtney's
my
able to come back for that. And
my brother is on board for
sick.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, one of the primary things is, like, just breaking someone's confidence down and saying something with authority in a convincing manner. Like, that's how you convince people. Like,
right.
That's how con artists do con artist things. Yeah. That's how, like, it's the whole reason that gaslighting works. You just say it with confidence. If you say it enough times, people start to believe it.
Yeah.
But for it to be on such a massive scale like this,
yeah,
it makes me think there's got to be something bigger about it. And I just wonder if it's to get us used to that, to get us kind of comfortable with the idea that, no, I can be very wrong about a lot of things.
Yeah.
If I can be wrong about dumb little things like, was there a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo?
Right.
Then I can definitely be wrong about, words that Jesus said.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's actually, there is one that is, that has to do with scripture, but I remember it the right way. And so
I feel like there's gotta be more to it than just, and like, so next question. Is Fruit of the Loom complicit in a government conspiracy to brainwash the American people into believing that there was never a cornucopia? Is Fruit of the Loom complicit in gaslighting the American people? And helping with a massive ongoing psyop to convince people that their memory is way more fallible than it actually is.
Yeah.
A couple of the other prevailing theories. That's my theory. Other prevailing theories, mainly that I disagree with because of the fact that I'm a Christian and just the way I lean in this type of thing, is that it's a result of multiple universes. I will joke about these. I will joke about like jumping timelines in 2016 as soon as the gorilla got murked.
Before that, jumping timelines when CERN opened up in 2012.
Chernobyl. Did you see the comment on the TikTok about a wormhole opening up in the Chernobyl disaster and causing the Chernobyl disaster and that moving us across timelines? Shout out to whoever commented that. That's a dope theory.
That is a dope theory.
That is a sick theory.
You could almost go the other way around and say that Chernobyl opened a black hole.
Yeah.
And then
for sure,
that kind of
for sure.
The problems.
If you have that kind of nuclear disaster,
when it's that much power, being
we've already talked about the possibility of nuclear reactions being Nephilim tech. So if Nephilim tech is like includes that, then it could also include opening up wormholes. It could be connected. That absolutely could be connected. And I am totally down with that theory. And now I want a video game made by the creators of either Stalker and or Dead Space. Ooh, that'd be a sick collab. Stalker and Dead Space devs should get together and make a freaking like nuclear meltdown wormhole creation deep space game. Man, I have such good ideas. Anyway, the alternative that I also really like, because I'm such a Matrix nerd, I shouldn't say nerd, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of the Matrix. Is, are we in a simulation? Yeah. And is that the deal? Is it just result of like glitches in the simulation? Which also lines up nicely with a lot of my theories and thoughts about like dreams and the nature of our dreams and like how real some of that feels and the familiar nature of certain dream spaces, like astral projection, lucid dreaming, like all of that stuff feels plausible.
I want to do an episode on astral projection because of the CIA stuff.
Somebody made a pretty good comment mentioning that as well. I think I screenshotted it. Yeah. So many good comments, guys. I really appreciate you, all you crazy folks.
There's 30,000 comments on that.
Yeah.
I haven't even made it through halfway.
I was having such a good time yesterday scrolling through them.
I'm gonna go through them again probably next week. But
any other comments on Mandela effect, thoughts, questions that you have?
So for me, the Mandela effect, I think it could be. So I have a bunch of theories that I do not believe in. So
fire.
So there's one theory that every time in this realm, in this world, this
plane of existence,
universe, multiverse, whatever,
universe out of the multiverse.
Every time that you die in this multiverse, you are instantly transported to a different multiverse in which you didn't die. So in theory, you will live the longest life you're able to live. Now, other people are going to die in whatever based off of the universe you're in or whatever. And so you'll always be, so like but eventually you'll reach points where little things are different just enough that you still fit into that multiverse or whatever. And so you're still transported to it, but little things like that are different.
I really like that theory.
That one's a fun one.
It feels
That's
like
I don't really believe in it,
No,
just
I don't
because
either.
what I
But I
believe
really
about
like
God,
it.
but I like it a lot.
that almost feels video game-esque, where like,
like
you die, but you go back to a save point,
Yeah.
but the autosave was like very close behind, and you don't remember the actual like your death, your failing. But then like an NPC got moved.
Yeah.
Or like has a different name.
Right.
Or
Something's just different.
Yeah.
And 99% of all of the things that would change, you're never going to recognize.
Yeah.
Because, you know, just
you didn't
because.
interact with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that stuck in your memory. You only have so much space to like storage for all of that.
And so the only things that are going to be different are the really big things. Well, so
Or things that were just very specific to you. Like in your brain.
Yeah.
Like you were
like you place your
interacted
phone
with it a lot.
Let's say you place your phone in the bedroom and then all of a sudden it's in the kitchen. Well, apparently you passed away and now your phone is in a different place because in that multiverse it's in a different place.
What's the weirdest quick, what's the weirdest one of those you've ever had happen?
Oh gosh.
I have two that stick out very, actually three.
Yeah.
One of them involves you.
Okay.
Three that stick out very distinctly to me. One, I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. I've talked about it with you plenty of times. Two of them involve disc golf. One was...
disc golf.
When
I've got a handful.
Seriously, we die a lot playing disc golf. That's where the safe points are.
Dude, venomous snakes or something, man.
Bro. So one time I was playing disc golf at Memorial Park in Chadron with I think it was with my roommate. Yeah, it was with Tristan. And I tomahawked one over the old, was that a volleyball court? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
The old volleyball court. And it landed like just on the other side. There's that little slope down by the playground. And I watched, and it did not roll. Or at least it didn't roll into view.
Yeah.
And we got over there, and we were looking for it for like 5 minutes. And there was a lady walking her dog on the street. On the other side, there's some bushes that are like 15 feet from the curb.
Yeah.
And it's like 50 yards past where I saw my disc land. It did not roll there. And she's like, hey, is this yours? And we went over there, and it was my disc. It was on the other side of those bushes. It had teleported.
Yeah.
Straight up teleported. Like 50 yards. So, in my prior save file, apparently my tomahawk overshot by like 50 yards.
Nasty.
And then I got hit by a meteor, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Or something. I don't know.
Maybe it was each time CERN kicked on, we just boom.
The second one is I went to pick up a bottle. I think it had my vitamin D gummies. And when I looked at it and I reached for it and I picked it up and it was a different bottle with different pills. And I was like, what? What just happened?
Yeah.
And I set it back down and I went to grab the vitamin D and it wasn't there. Like it wasn't even there. And I was like, where, what, huh? What, where is it? And it was I found my vitamin D bottle in the living room. It was like on the other side of a wall. Like it was in a totally different room than where I went to grab. I looked at it.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and it wasn't the same thing anymore. Like that is wild. Third one, you know what it is.
Do I?
Yes.
What is it?
The glitch where it went through the fence.
Oh yeah, that one was still. We share. That one was by far my number one. We tell that story every time we walk by on Memorial. For some reason my disc hit on the opposite side of the fence that it ended up, but there's no holes in the fence, there's no breaks, there's no nothing, and it like
we watched it
land. Yeah, we watched it like basically land, and then it was on the other side of the fence when we got up there, and we were like, "What?" And so it's like it doesn't make any sense. I've got two others other than that one. That one's my number one for sure.
Yeah.
The two that I have is one we were out playing disc golf at the state park, and we had a huge group. I want to say like 10 of us. It took us like 3 hours to play, and my nephew Camden threw off of hole 12. The one that goes way downhill. And so it's like a 400-foot hole, but like it's like a 90-degree angle down. Like it's just straight down, basically. Yeah. I literally throw it with like a putter aimed down, and the disc speeds up as it goes down. That's how downhill this hole is for you guys, if you know disc golf. And I watch discs land on that hole because I've seen so many go missing.
Yep.
And I saw his disc land and skip forward and then come to a stop right in front of that big, huge tree right next to the basket. Mm-hmm. And we went down with 8 of us looking in the entire area for like 15 minutes because he had just bought the disc. So it was brand new. He didn't want to lose it. 15 minutes and we couldn't find it. And I went, and that was during the COVID year. And I went out and I played regularly. Mm-hmm. And I would regularly look in that area every time we went out and that disc was gone. It just gone. Just disappeared. And that's not even an area that discs disappear. Right. Because it's so easy to see the landmarks that it couldn't have been farther than this and it couldn't have been shorter than this. It couldn't have been left of this or right of this because it's such a clear area right there. Just gone. And
with that many people there, it does not take long to comb that, and you can do it very thoroughly.
Right, and sometimes discs, you'll have a disc, and out of the state park, I feel like more than any other place, if a disc pops up, people will call you. Yeah. And that one never got a call back. Nobody's found it at least and tried to give it back or anything like that. One was gone. Another one was my black Adidas flip-flops that I wear that I have I've had them for years. Yeah. I don't wear them outside a whole lot just because I don't want to wear them out because I love them too much. Yep. All of a sudden one day they just went missing and like gone. And I was like, I don't know where my flip-flops are. And I was told Courtney. And so Courtney looked under the bed and she didn't see them. I looked under the bed. I didn't see them before I even mentioned it to her. I had looked under the bed and they were gone for a good like 3 weeks. And we regularly clean under our bed because our son puts toys under there all the time. And then all of a sudden one day I was like, I still can't find my shoes, those flip-flops, Courtney. And she's like, I know we've looked under the bed, but like, could they be under the bed? And I was like, they're not. I've looked under the bed like 5 times by this point. Mm-hmm. And I walked in and I went to the foot of the bed and I looked under. Not only were they under the bed,
just open.
They were within an inch of the edge of the bed. I should have been able to see them from outside of the bed. And then they were just there again. Both of them. I just went, what?
Do you think
And Courtney was like, they were there? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I looked under there. And I was like, I've looked under there like 5 times. And so apparently I switched timelines and all of a sudden, boom, my shoes were under the bed.
Do you think Nephilim just like messing with the timeline?
What if it's just straight up like demons messing with the timeline?
I really do wonder.
Or because like making stuff move.
There's too many things like that.
Yeah.
Dude, the pill thing got me so bad because like I was being intentional.
Yeah.
Like I looked at the bottle. I reached for the bottle. Mm-hmm. I picked up the bottle. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at the bottle and it wasn't the same bottle that I just picked up. Yeah. It's just like, when it's stuff like that, it's just like, that doesn't work. Right. Like, this does not compute in my brain. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. And it confuses you. It's not just like one of those things where you're just like, that was weird. Why did I think that? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't just dismiss it when it's something that, and that's one of those things too, where it's like, no. And especially when you have like multiple people, like you and Courtney both looked there multiple times and it wasn't there. And then you look again and it's just there. Yeah. It's just like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And for the most part, I fully admit that I'm not that good at looking for things.
Sure,
like,
same.
I don't know if it's ADD or what, but like I don't have the patience to look for stuff very well. I just don't. And maybe it's just I'm a guy because I know guys just aren't good at looking for things.
Yeah.
I wasn't the only one looking for it for 3 weeks.
Right.
Courtney was looking for it too because she started looking for it because I was annoying her because I was asking about them all the time to see if she had found them. And another thing about them is because I don't leave the house with them. Mm-hmm. I knew I didn't wear them and then take them off and change them, or that they got outside and got left or anything like that. So I don't wear them out of the house because I want to wear them inside the house. And if I wear them outside of the house, then it's kind of gross to wear them inside the house. So I have like my inside, I'm weird like this, but I have my inside flip-flops and then I have my outside flip-flops.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And so I'll wear my sandals outside that I'm going to wear outside, and then those don't get worn inside.
Yeah.
And so, I knew they were in the house somewhere and just gone. Looked everywhere for those stupid shoes. But yeah. And so exactly the way you're saying.
Do you think that counts as a Mandela effect? Like, it's not a mass thing.
Right.
But
it is personal.
And it's multiple people.
And I I've seen some or heard of some Mandelas. I've been racking my brain trying to think of one, but I remember there being one kind of more local, that it was like everybody locally remembered something one way and it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was. But I feel like there are local Mandela effects as well.
For sure.
And
for sure,
it's just crazy because it's like, yeah, Mandela effects are nuts. There's every once in a while a new one will pop up that just hurts my heart. And I don't remember, there was one that just popped up recently that like, it hurt me a little bit because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no, this is not true. And if you build it, they will come one.
Yeah.
That one's the most recent one that I found that I'm like, no, dude, it's if you build it, they will come. I remember it.
I am going to obsess over the Mr. Rogers one.
Yeah.
That's going to make me mad for at least like the next 6 months. I will not stop being upset about that. It sounds wrong in my brain, and it's going to be playing in my brain, and I'm going to correct it every time it's in there. Like there are some like it's going to frustrate me.
Like the Forrest Gump one, where it's like Mom always said
life was like a box.
Was like
that one makes sense, sort of, because he's talking about a past tense thing.
Yeah.
She would say that.
When you would quote it, you would say life is like a box of chocolate. So I could see how that could become a mismemory.
Yep.
But the ones that I don't see how it could become, like Chick-fil-A. Why is that a mismemory? Because it's a chicken. It would be spelled like chicken. And like, why would CHIK, I don't know, maybe Chick-a-Stick? Do you remember those things?
No.
Let me...
I'm staring at a Chick-fil-A sign right now, and it's just not right. It's just not right. It can't... no. No.
Not even Chick-a-Stick is spelled CHICK. So I was thinking if Chick-a-Stick was spelled CHIK, they're a candy, and Grandma used to always have them. They're so good.
Yeah. Okay, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But even that's spelled CHICK, so it's not like I remembered it wrong. But yeah, so...
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know.
That's spelled CHICKO stick. So,
I'm going to be honest. I really thought that my last topic, for a little bit, I thought it was going to also be a Mandela effect.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Somebody else made a comment about being given mouthwash at school in the 80s.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this at all?
Yeah. Well, I saw the post briefly.
It was a fluoride rinse thing a fluoride treatment that they would give to kids in the 70s. And somebody even said up into like the early 2000s.
I feel like I remember that at
Thank
one point
God
or another.
I never had that. But apparently a lot of people did. And weirdness.
But yeah, one of the dudes
had plaque disclosing tablets. Did you ever see that? Like,
yeah, where they show
tablets that would reveal like where the plaque buildup was at. So there were a few people comment. I found a Reddit thread on this, and a few people were like, the reasoning for it was that a lot of kids were on well water, and that allegedly like was bad for your teeth. Was the argument? That was my reaction.
Water.
Dude, well water is the bomb.
Best,
well water is the bomb.
If you've never, especially Sandhills well water, dude.
Dude, it's literally the best thing ever.
There's not a water that tastes better on this earth than Sandhills well water. And well water in general.
Yeah. So
I literally every once in a while, I want like one of my buddies, Ryan, shout out. He started listening to the podcast. Mm-hmm. There for a while, he told me that if I brought like gallon milk jugs, that I could just go out to his house and fill up from his well. And I've never been more tempted into wasting an hour every couple of weeks of my life than to drive to his house and fill up. Yeah. Like I want to get one of those like the Culligan water dispenser things
and just fill it
with well water instead of Culligan's water.
Quick story time. When I was like mid-late teenager, I worked for my hometown's maintenance crew for several years, and we managed the wells, and we'd have to like flush them and take pressures and stuff like that, readings, make sure everything was correct. And when we would go do the well checks, because it was straight up out of the Sandhills well too.
Aquifer,
straight aquifer water. We would get it fresh from the tap before it went through like all of the city lines.
Yeah.
And you could literally just like open up the freaking like pressure release valve and just fill a water bottle from like it had only gone through like a couple 100 feet of pipe, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so good. We would do it every time. We would do it every time. Man.
But anyway, that's like top 5 things in my life that like it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But like you even just explaining that, I can taste it. And I'm just like, I'm gonna hit Ryan up and be like, hey, I'm gonna come get some well water from you this week.
It makes you depressed that you don't get it all the time.
I just drink tap water just because I was so used to drinking well water out of the tap.
It ain't the same.
And so water that's been, and so for me, water that's been filled, like bottled water, doesn't taste good to me because I feel like I can taste the plastic in it.
Yeah.
And I can taste the fluoride in city water.
Yep.
But for me, fluoride doesn't taste as bad as plastic.
Yeah.
And so when something's gone through like a plastic filter, I can taste that plastic, even though it's been filtered. I can taste it.
Yeah.
And I would rather, and so I'm just a rare, maybe rare, but the taste of fluoride is better than the taste of plastic to me.
Yeah.
And so I basically am choosing fluoride over plastic at that point because neither of them are well water.
Right.
And so if I can't get well water,
fluoride's
choose your evils. Yeah. But people who grew up drinking city water know like the taste of fluoride, and you drink something that comes out of a bottle, it doesn't have the fluoride in it.
Yeah.
And so it's probably going to taste better to them.
So what do you know about fluoride? What are your thoughts on I have not researched the effects of fluoride much. I don't know if there's a lot of speculation behind it. I know that. That's about it.
My realistic standpoint is that I would project that the amounts that are in water are at such a low level that it doesn't affect us.
Sure.
I think plastic is way worse, and Teflon is so much worse for us than fluoride, that we are beginning to attribute a lot of things to fluoride that we actually should be attributing to Teflon and plastic.
Okay.
But I also know that enough fluoride jacks up your pineal glands and does a lot of other memory issues, and I know that it causes developmental, like intelligent, like it lowers your IQ and stuff like that at a high enough level.
Yeah. So the thing I'm driving at here is somebody posted on the Reddit thread. Somebody commented and said, "I got this and grew up in Asheville." I assume. Actually, I don't know where.
North Carolina?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Something like that.
Somewhere East Coast-ish. He said, so I assume it was so they could rot our brains with fluoride even if we weren't on city water. LOL. Hate it. Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was that thought, which I like the way you think. Like, I think that makes sense. So then somebody else mentioned they thought it had kind of an almond taste, which, do you know what tastes like almonds?
What?
Arsenic. The stuff that's in rat poison.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I have a lot of questions about the point of this.
Right.
This thing.
Weird.
So yeah, there was just a lot of speculation on that. And I was like, this is a very interesting, I would like to do more research on that particular topic. So we might have an update for you later on.
Yeah. But so if you remember having to rinse your mouth with something that wasn't water or mouthwash, and you remember doing it, let us know in the Discord or in the comments so that we can start to compile a list and have conversation with you. Because I want to know more about this too.
So just a quick gross out factor. Apparently what they did is they had like a pump thing, like a kind of like a big Germex bottle, and it was like a little foamy, either pink or light green fluoride rinse thing, and they'd like pump it into a little like shot glass plastic cup, and you friggin' swish it, and they would make sure you did it. You weren't like, you had to do it, and then everyone would spit in a friggin' bucket, all in one bucket. But like, so I thought it might have been a Mandela effect type thing for a bit, because it was so like spotty. People were like, no, I had no idea what you're talking about. And then other people were like, yeah, dude, totally. Totally. We did that. And it's just like, what? It was interesting. So tell me more. If you remember that, tell me more.
What if...
Yes, do it.
The my brain, great ending thought, I guess. Okay, actually, before I get to that, I've got a conspiracy theory about pigs that I want to talk about at a future episode that I don't agree with, but it's a great theory. Okay. Actually, I could just share it now because it's actually really short. Okay. So did you know when like they're testing with organs and stuff, they use pigs instead of like orangutans or monkeys because we're closer genetically to pigs. Yep. So I don't believe this, but
I saw your comments.
Okay. So when pigs are let loose and run around and they get a run around or whatever, they go feral very quickly.
Yep.
What if feral humans are what happened when humans, because we were actually descendant and closer related to pigs than we are monkeys. And so when humans are left alone for too long of a period of time, they begin to revert back and go feral. And so the feral humans are just people who've been away from civilization so long that they basically revert back to their previous genetic coding. And what if, now you can go short term, what if that was us eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil caused us to become civilized.
Susceptible to,
And so when we're alone too long, and so part of the Bible talks about how we need each other and we need to never forsake fellowship. What if when we forsake fellowship, we begin to go feral and revert back to pre-knowledge of good and evil?
That's an interesting theory.
I don't agree with it, but it's a fun one.
Yeah.
But it makes your brain think a little bit, because what if we are actually closer? What if we were, like, if evolution was real, what if we actually evolved from pigs? Because pigs, I mean, there's so much that's similar other than hands.
Right.
But part of the reason that they believe that we are descendant from the monkeys or whatever is because we have hands.
Right.
Well, everything else seems to make more sense that it's pigs.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a quick one.
Let me throw one other alternative at you, just as far as the connection with the tree of knowledge of good and evil. What if that was what took us, like, made us susceptible to falling away from civilization? What if instead of that making us civilized, what if we were civilized, but that was the thing
that's what makes us go,
allowed us to revert?
Interesting. Anyway, yeah. Food for thought. That's fun. The other thing I just thought of was you talk about how to spit in the communal bucket. So, what if part of the genetic testing that they're trying to do with like bringing back and doing like the Nephilim testing and stuff like that? What if the 19
you already said it once this episode.
Oh, well, we'll just not share it twice. The corona. What if the swabs were actually them just doing DNA testing? Because they were talking about it. Because when he was talking about it, they only need the lining of a red blood. They don't even need the whole red blood cell.
Yeah.
They just need the lining of a red blood cell. One blood cell. Just the lining of it. And they could clone you. What could they do with an entire nasal swab of your DNA and your genetics?
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
All right, if you're listening, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you're on TikTok, follow us. If you're on Instagram, follow us. Facebook, we've got all of them. We're everywhere.
Get in the Discord.
Write a comment.
It's the Wild West in there. Yeah, please leave comments. Talk to us about what you think about what we talked about.
If you hate social media,
Discord.
Join our Discord, because it's a version of social media that's less hateful, because it's like being in a group on Facebook without having to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so if you're considering deleting Facebook, download Discord and join our Discord server. It's basically a group on Discord where we control everything. And so we have topics like memes and general discussion and conspiracy theories. And then we also have a topic of like the stuff we share during the episode where I'm like, oh, we'll drop this into Discord. Those are all there. So as you listen, even if you're not caught all the way up and you're going back listening to old episodes, you pop into that and you can go back and look at all of those images, because we kind of protect it. So only those images from the episodes are in there.
Do you have the Discord link in the description?
No, because I don't want random bots joining.
That's fair.
So I just need you to message me. You can message me anywhere. You can send us an email at biblicallyaccurate@yahoo.com. That's probably the easiest. Literally just spelled out, biblically accurate Bigfoot at yahoo.com. Shoot us an email and I can get you the link. That's how we've gotten a couple people to come in, or just message me on any of the social media platforms and I'll give you the link and you can literally just pop in. It's pretty easy, but join the Discord, download Discord. It's a lot of fun. But if not, don't forget to rate us, like us, subscribe, comment, do all those things. As you interact, it helps us pop up in the algorithms a little bit higher. And we have a new goal because we just reached the minimum in order to monetize. But in order to like control the monetization, we have to have 10 times as many listens per month. And so everything you do to interact helps us. So we appreciate you guys. We love you. Don't forget to be your biblical best.
Biblically accurate best.
Don't forget to be a BA, all right? Thank you. Love you. Okay, bye.
BA.
In the ancient days of giants, when the earth was wild and free, a creature roamed the valleys, cloaked in mystery. Is he born of angels' blood and man, a Nephilim so tall, or a shadow of the fallen, yet heeding the Maker's call? He's a biblically accurate Bigfoot, with a lineage from the skies. Not a myth or legend, but a truth that never dies. Is he a remnant of the Nephilim, a titan standing tall? Or does he have the word of God upon him, the last to hear the call?